Guys, what's up? I'm Nikhil from dopemotions.com and welcome to this brand new After Effects tutorial. In today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to create a really cool looking animation which looks kind of a text sliding card effect. Well, I don't know what to call it, but it looks pretty damn cool. So without any further ado, let's get straight into After Effects and get started. Alright, so here we are in After Effects. So let's start by creating a new composition. So let's rename this to main, cause this is gonna be our main composition. 1920 into 1080. Let's make this 60 frames per second. 10 seconds should be good, and hit OK. Let's start by selecting the rectangle tool. We don't need any strokes, so I'm gonna set this to 0. And for the fill, I'm just gonna select a random color, maybe something like a gray color, and just double click right over here. So it's gonna, it should create a rectangle just like that. And then let's go into the rectangle 1, rectangle path 1, unlink the size, and maybe I'll just set this to somewhere around 650. And for the height, I'm gonna go with maybe 850. Let's see. I think I'll go with maybe 800. And this one I'll go with 600, something like that. Alright, pretty good. Now what I can do is make sure the shape layer is selected, select the rectangle tool. Also, I can turn on the title action safe, or and hit Ctrl R to bring down the rulers and just bring out a guide just like that. Pretty simple. And make sure the shape layer is selected and the rectangle tool is selected, and create a rectangle just like so. So now we have something like that. So now we have rectangle 2, rectangle 1 into the shape layer. So let's go into rectangle 2, rectangle path 1, unlink this, and we can adjust the size according to our requirements. So for this, I'm going to go with something like maybe right over here. So now you can see we have two shapes. So let's go ahead and add a merge path to this just like that. And I'm going to set this to maybe subtract. That's not going to work. Intersect. Yeah, that's what we need. And then what I can do is I can go into the rectangle 1, go into rectangle path 1, and in the roundness, I'm going to increase this just a little bit, just like that. Now, of course, you can create these shapes into Illustrator and then come into After Effects, but why not make it 100% After Effects now? Yeah, in Illustrator, it's going to take a bit less time to create this kind of shapes, but then again, you need to switch to After Effects and arrange the layers and all that stuff. Then just create it in After Effects. Anyways, so there we have our first shape. You can rename it to anything that you want. I'm just going to rename it to, let's say, L_S. That means L shape. And then I can just hit Control D to duplicate it, and let's rename this to R_S, that is right shape, and hit S to bring down the scale properties, unlink this, and just set this to -100. There we have our second shape. And of course you can change the colors. So let's go into the fill, and I'm going to give it something like a really nice light pink color. And for the left one, I'm going to go with a darker pink, just a little bit, just so we have a little bit of difference between these two shapes. So hit Control R to hide the rulers. We can also turn off the title action safe, and also for the guides, I'm going to hide this up by hitting Control and F_, or semicolon. I'm still confused between that. Anyways, so now what I can do is, there we have our shape of the lower shape of the card. So let's create the top one. So what we can do is just select this, Control D to duplicate it, and let's call this maybe something like top. And we can delete the second rectangle. So now we have it. Let's make this white. And also we don't need any roundness. Oh, actually we need the roundness. So now what I can do is I can select the top layer and select a rectangle tool and just create a shape which looks something like this. This much should be enough, maybe a bit smaller, so I'm going to do it again, something like that. There we have it. So now we have our top shape and our bottom shape. So let's add a really small element which kind of looks like a messaging stuff. makes it look like a messaging stuff. So maybe create a star just like that, go into a polystar path and change the points to 3 points. And then what I can do is rotate this up, so hit R to bring down the rotation properties, and also make sure the anchor point is in the center, and let's set this to 60 degrees. Oh, that's not gonna work, so something like that. I'll do it manually. Let's see, place right over here, and just rotate it just like that. Then what I can do is scale this down a bit, be somewhere around there, and place it somewhere around there. So now we have something like this. Now it looks not that good, so I'm just name this, let's say TRI for triangle. And what I can do is I can go into the contents, polystar 1, polystar path 1, select the polystar path actually, and right click and convert this to Bezier path. So now we can select the pen tool and select the points. You know, we can first of all delete this once because we don't need it. There we go. Let's select this, and I'm going to drag this just a little bit, just like so. Now it looks much better, as you can see. Maybe make it a bit more smaller, around 30, or maybe let's go 20. Really nice and small, something like that. Let's bring this up. Okay, 25. Okay, this looks perfect. So now we have it. So now let's go ahead with our tutorial. So let's select this too maybe, and I'll pre-compose it. So hit Ctrl+Shift+C to pre-compose it. Let's call this top. And for this too, I'm gonna hit Ctrl+Shift+C again to pre-comp it. And let's call this bottom. Simple. Let's go into the bottom composition and let's add our text. Now you can of course type in anything that you want. I'm just gonna select the text tool and let's type in maybe Saturday. Let's change this to white, and I'm gonna use a font named Montserrat. There we go. Let's set this to 0. And for this one, I'm gonna go with light, maybe something like that, and bring this really small maybe. Let's set this to 30. Okay, so this is looking pretty good. Maybe I'll just set this to regular. That looks much better. And then I can just select the text, hit Ctrl+D to duplicate it, and let's drag it right over here, holding Shift. And let's type in a time, so maybe 22:00. Pretty good. So let's go ahead and animate this text as well. So I'm going to go to 1 second, select the text, hit P to bring down the position properties, create a keyframe, drag that keyframe to 2 seconds, and let's select this time. Let's bring this down just like that, holding Shift. Same with the Saturday text, just like that. So now we have a simple animation. Let's select the keyframes, hit F9 to ease those keyframes, go to graph editor, select this handles and just drag them just like that. So now we have a better and nice and smooth looking animation, just like that. Pretty cool. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select these 2 layers and hit Ctrl+D to duplicate it. Let's bring this on the top. We change the color so we can see it more properly. And then what I can do is select the right one, bring this on the top of the time text or time text layer, and the second one on the top of Saturday. So let's select the Saturday and the time text layer and change the track matte to alpha matte. So now we have something like this. Pretty simple. So we're done with this animation. So let's go into our top composition and let's type in a text. So let's maybe type in The Amazing Show. Let's change the color to something like a nice dark gray, like that. And also I'm going to make this really nice and bold. Increase the size to 50 maybe. That is a bit too much, maybe 45 or 40. Okay, that looks good. Let's place it in the position that we want. Then hit Control D to duplicate it, bring this below, holding Shift, and let's type in a second text, which can be anything, maybe something like a tagline or something like that. Let's type in coming up next. And I'm going to set this to regular. Also make this small, maybe 30. Okay, that is looking pretty nice. There we have our text. So let's go. Oh, we already at 2 seconds. Select the text, hit P to bring down the position properties, create a keyframe, go back in time to 1 second, and just drag them out just like that. Now we have something like this. Select the keyframes, hit F9 to easy ease, go to graph editor, select the points and drag this handle just like that. So now we have something like this. Pretty cool. And then to create a matte, select the top layer or the shape layer, the top shape layer, hit Control D to duplicate it, and let's rename this to M for matte. Let's bring this on the top, and also I'm going to change the track matte of the coming text to alpha matte. Same, I'm going to duplicate the M layer again, put this on the top of the amazing show text, and let's change the track matte to alpha matte. So now we have something like this. We can also displace this a bit, just like so, just to create a little bit more nicer look. As you can see, pretty nice. So let's go into our main composition. So we have this kind of animation so far. So let's go to 1 second and select, oh, maybe we need to pre-comp it. So let's hit Control Shift C and let's call this maybe card. Hit OK. Hit S to bring down the scale properties at 1 second, create a keyframe, go back in time, and let's set this to 0. I'm going to select the keyframes, hit F9 to easy ease, go to graph editor, and this time I'm going to right click and select edit in value graph. Just zoom in a bit to create, some room right over here. Select this handle and just drag it just like that. This one right over here. Hold Control and click right over here to create one more keyframe, and then we can drag this, trying to create kind of an overshoot animation for this scaling, something like that. As you can see, okay, one more thing that I need to do is go into the cards, bring this top composition, also turn on the title action safe, bring this below just like that, bring this right over here just like so. So now we should have something like this. Maybe I'll just bring the keyframe a bit closer. Pretty cool and snappy animation, and that is what I'm going for. And then what I can do is go into the bottom composition and let's drag them a bit forward in time. So maybe I'll just select them, and oh, that's not going to work. Actually, let's go into main composition, and now we have something like this. And then right over here, let's go to 2 seconds and let's go into the card composition, and at 2 seconds select the top and the bottom comp and hit P to bring down the position properties, create a keyframe, drag those keyframe to 3 seconds, and just drag this top comp or the top layer, you can say, right over here. And same for the bottom one, I'm going to drag it right over here, something like this. Oh, I think I did it wrong. Let's Control Z to undo it. Let's bring this keyframe right over here, go to 3 seconds, and then just bring this about like so. So now we have something like this, pretty simple. Maybe I'll start this from 2 seconds and 15 frames. Hit F9 to ease the keyframes, go to graph editor, go into edit speed graph, select this and create kind of a peak in the center, something like that. So we have a really nice and smooth animation, pretty cool. So as you can see the complete animation, let's go into the main comp to see our complete animation. And I think this is looking really nice. I think the overshoot is a bit too much. So let's select the keyframes, go into a graph editor, and let's bring this down. Just a touch. Try to take your time and make it look really nice. Something like that. Pretty nice. So far so good. Looking pretty cool. So let's go into the main or the card composition. Let's close this up. And let's create a new composition for our media. You can of course use any photo or video that you want. So I'm going to rename this to media. This is basically going to be our media placeholder. So you can, drag your video or photo, whatever that you want. I'm going to select maybe something like this scene, which looks really nice. And add a curves adjustment just to make it look really nice. Let's go into the card composition and drag in the media composition into the card composition just like that. Scale this down. Actually, I'm going to go to 3 seconds. And then I'm going to scale this down a bit so that we can put the media in the exact position. Somewhere around there, and scale this down. You can of course use the arrow keys to be a bit more precise. Maybe just set this to 42, I guess. Or maybe 41. Let's go with 40.3 or something like that. Yeah, perfect. And into the media composition, double click on the rectangle tool. We don't need any fill, so I'm going to set this to none. And for the stroke, I'm going to go with maybe something like 20 and double click on the rectangle tool. So it's going to create some borders. Maybe I'll increase the stroke a bit. Something like that. So there we have it, looking really nice. Also, I'm going to set this to maybe 40.5. Pretty good. We can select the bottom one, hit U, go right over here where it ends, and maybe I'll set this to 40.7 or something like that. Okay, perfect. So there we have it. And now what I can do is make sure to hit U so we can see the keyframe, so we know the timing of the animation. Select the media composition, select the rectangle tool, and I'm going to create a mask which looks something like that, and create a keyframe on the mask path. Go back in time right over here, hit U, and I'm gonna just drag this mask just like that. You can use the arrow keys just to be as precise as possible. Same with this points. Pretty nice. And then we can select the keyframes, just bring them at the very beginning by holding shift, so it's going to snap in the position, and then we can drag it right over here. So now we should have something like that, but as you can see the keyframe animation is not matching, and the reason is we need to select all the 3 layers and hit U so we can see the keyframes. Select the keyframes, all the keyframes, hit F9 to ease the keyframes, go to graph editor, and let's select this and create kind of a peak. Oh. Pretty cool. Let's see. Yep, very nice. I think I'm gonna go right over here, select the mask points and bring them right over here. Let's see. Pretty nice. Then let's go to around 45, maybe 45, 3 second and 45 frames. Let's select the top and the bottom composition or the layers. And let's hit S to bring down the scale properties, create a keyframe, go to somewhere around there, and let's bring down the scale to around 80. And this one to 80 as well. Let's go back right over here, select both the compositions, hit P to bring down the position properties, create a keyframe just like that, hit U so we can see all the keyframes, and then let's go right over here, select the bottom one. I'm going to drag this right just like that, and for the top one I'm going to drag it just like so. So now we have something like this. Pretty cool. Let's select the keyframes and hit F9 to ease. Something like that. And for the media, what I can do is select this, hit S to bring down the scale properties, create a keyframe, go right over here and scale this up just a little bit, just like that. Select all the keyframes, hit F9 to ease it, go to graph editor, and I'm going to create kind of a peak just like we did before. So let's see. Pretty cool. As you can see, this is looking really nice. Yep. Let's go into our main composition. So we have our animation ready. So let's go ahead and make it look really nice. So now what I'm going to do is hit Ctrl Y to create a new solid and just rename this to BG for background. Bring this below. Add a gradient ramp to this. And maybe something like a really nice bright colors, you know, this one, and maybe for this one I'm going to go with kind of a purplish color, which I think would look pretty nice, something like that. Also, you can increase the ramp scatter to 50 so we don't get any color bendings. Okay, so this is looking pretty nice. Now what I can do is select the card composition and hit Ctrl D to duplicate it and displace this a bit just like that. So now we have two layers, as you can see. And let's select the second one and let's add a fill to it and make it white. And also I'm going to add blinds to this, the Venetian blinds. Let's increase this and set this to 45. And just play around with this just like that. Also I'm going to add a simple choker and let's set this to 1. So now we have this really cool looking animation, as you can see, which looks really interesting. And also I can add a drop shadow, so hit, you know, add a drop shadow to this, something like that. And let's see, maybe I'll add a new adjustment layer by hitting Ctrl Alt and Y. Let's rename this to CC for color correction. Add a curved adjustment, and this is actually going to be our vignette. So let's select the ellipse tool, double click on it, invert this up and feather this up really high, something like that. You can also adjust the curve like so. Pretty cool. So there we have a really nice and snappy looking animation ready. You can of course use this as a broadcast animation, as a slideshow as well, and create, you know, you can create your own shapes and create some really cool looking animation basically. So let's see what more we can do right over here. And I think we can add some accent as well. And yep, if you guys want to know how to create some really cool accent for your motion graphics, I have already created a tutorial on it. So I'll mention the tutorial link below in the description, also in the I button above. So make sure to check it out. And that's all for today. Alright, so that is a wrap for today. I hope this video was helpful to you guys, and if it was, make sure to subscribe, comment and like, and I will see you guys in my next video. Till then, take care. Thank you so much for watching guys, and don't forget to stay raw, stay creative.